Good morning. I'm the Reverend Judith Long. I serve as the affiliate community minister of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Hendersonville and also as the executive director of the free clinic in our community. If you're a visitor this morning, we welcome you. And if you're interested in learning more about our congregation, you can find us at uufhnc.org. And if you're interested in learning more about our denomination, you can find us at uua.org. I welcome you to this, our virtual worship for Mother's Day. And we start this morning with a special update from our stewardship team.
Good morning. I'm Meg Hoke, and I'm the co-chair of the Stewardship Campaign, along with the wonderful Paul Shoemaker. And I'm here to give another pledge drive update. I do know that it's a terrible time to be asking people to plan their giving for the coming year, but life does go on, and we do need to plan. The board is making plans for our annual meeting, and a budget needs to be developed before then. Our theme is writing the next chapter, and this next chapter of our life together can be all about coming together and creating a stronger, more flexible, and responsive community. Already we are realizing that we can reach out virtually and learn new ways to worship and be together. I mean, how many people knew about Zooming before more than a couple months ago? And now we meet each other there every week. I am so proud to be a part of this congregation. We are doing important work in caring for each other, but also in reaching out and supporting folks in Henderson County and the larger world. But let's get down to business. Since I reported to you all last, we've had a bunch of people send in pledges. Thank you. We now have 68 pledges totaling $149,370, so almost $150,000. Of those pledges, those 68 pledges, 36 were increases, so over half were increases, and that is really impressive. We figure we have about 55 pledges still to come in, so if you haven't sent your pledge in, please do so this week. How do you pledge? You can mail it if you still have your pledge card. You can go to the website, and if you scroll all the way down, there will be a donate button, and you can click that to do your pledging online. Or you can just email our bookkeeper, Bill Elder. His email address is bookkeeper@uufhnc.org. Again, bookkeeper@uufhnc.org. See? Flexible and responsive. One final idea, if you are not in a position where you need to use that stimulus check you received, maybe consider giving it, or at least a portion of it, to UUFH. Again, thank you to those of you who have already pledged, and thank you to all of you who are about to. We are a fellowship, a family, and we are determined to take good care of each other now and all year long. Your UUFH stewardship team, myself, Paul Shoemaker, and Judy Lutzenberger. Thank you.
Our opening words this morning come from the Reverend Gretchen Haley. Though you have been warned and given plenty of explanations, reasons to do otherwise, you have persisted to claim a life of joy and justice, to carve out this time, this space for renewal of your own heart. Despite all the reasons, the resistance, fighting for your attention, luring you towards fear, you persist. You persist to practice gratitude for this day, this life that has been given, this chance to begin again. So let us gather, that we might offer one another courage and strength, healing and hope, and the promise to persist in kindness, to persevere in compassion, and to prevail in a life that is more for others than for ourselves. Come, let us worship together. The flaming chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism around the world. It was created initially in World War II by refugee Hans Deutsch as part of the Unitarian effort assisting Jewish refugees to escape Nazi Germany. The flame represented the spirit of helpfulness and sacrifice. When we light our chalice, as all you use around the world, in the words of Reverend Dan Hotchkiss, we quote, illuminate a world we are called to serve with love and a sense of justice. The closing song in today's worship calls to this fire of commitment. We light our chalice with these words. Blessed is the moment of our virtual gathering. Blessed is the flame we kindle here. Blessed is the fire of our faith, and this chalice, its sign. Blessed is the living tradition we carry onward in our work and in our love. Blessed is the endless call to life, to which we give ourselves this day and all days in answer. And now I want to introduce my daughter, Kevin Carter Long, who has a reading to share with us.
The reading this morning is entitled May Means Mother's Day by Unitarian Universalist minister Reverend Katie Lee Crane. May means Mother's Day. I'm going to trust Hallmark and daddies and 6-year-olds and grown-up kids who are mommies themselves to honor the mothers among us as they deserve to be honored, with brass bands, flags flying, breakfast in bed, and kitchens cleaned up afterwards. I wish for those mothers a memorable day full of love and laughter. Sadly, I don't trust Hallmark to remember the feelings of the women who don't fit Mother's Day in quite the same wonderful way. There are no cards on the rack for the women who gave up children for adoption, never to see them again. No cards for the women who faced the painful and difficult choice to end a pregnancy. No cards for women who desperately want to conceive and bear children and cannot. No cards for women who have lost their children of any age, or for the women whose children have abandoned them in anger. There is little consolation for them on a day so full of motherhood. Every year, when Mother's Day rolls around, and I wish there was just a little less hype about traditional motherhood and a little more acknowledgement of not so traditional mothers in our midst, people who come in all colors, shapes, sizes, genders, and ages. And more than anything, I wish there were a lot more empathy for those who suffer because as mothers are being honored, they don't quite fit the same wonderful way. Let us honor them all on this day. Women who conceived, women who bore, women who reared, women who lost, women who let go, women who made different choices, and people of any gender who mother. Happy day. May each of you know your worth to all of us.
Let us join together in the spirit of meditation and prayer. I invite you to settle into your body. Take a deep breath, and another, and another. Deeply breathing in and out, noticing your breath, the way it flows in through your nose and mouth, traveling down your throat and expanding your lungs and chest. Notice also the outflow, feeling the breath release from your nose and mouth. Relax your shoulders and jaw. Release the tension we naturally hold. Relax your forehead and unfurrow your brow. Put your feet solidly on the ground and feel yourself rooted in this moment and place, in the nowness of now. Feel your legs sitting, the sensation of the chair holding you, your back and hips and spine supported and held. Listen to the sounds, my voice, but notice also the bird song, the wind, or four-legged friends. Notice the play of light and sunshine. Notice the smells, perhaps coffee or breakfast. Become deeply present to this moment, and again, turn your attention to your breath. We come to this moment, this day, seeking stillness in our hearts and minds and spirit. Let us breathe together. Simply breathe. Focusing for a moment on our very breath. In and out. The air that nurtures our bodies and emanates our being. As you breathe in, I breathe out. We are connected by our very breathing. Our breath mingling together as our lives are intertwined. Our very breath uniting us. We pause this moment to celebrate the gifts of life and love and the blessings of this day. May we find the nourishment we need for our bodies, for our minds, for our hearts, for our souls. May we find comfort in times of challenge, loss, and regret. Peace in times of anxiety. May we find the love and warmth and kindness that nurtures our spirits, eases our burdens, and welcomes us into the community of life. In the stillness and groundedness and nowness of this moment, our hearts open outward with loving compassion. We bless the green hills and the glory of growing spring. We bless the creeks, streams, rivers, and lakes that nurture and sustain our world. We bless the oceans and tides that give rhythm to our seasons. We bless the land upon which we rest. We bless all our four-legged and winged and swimming and crawling companions. We bless the wind, sky, clouds. We bless our human brethren, holding with compassion those who suffer and grieve, those who fear and doubt, those who love, and even those who harm. Take another breath, and another, and one more. And as you exhale, breathe out compassion, breathe out peace, breathe out hope, breathe out love. Amen.
an appeal to womanhood throughout the world. A Mother's Day Proclamation. Arise then, women of this day, arise all women who have hearts, whether our baptism be that of water or of tears. Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands shall not come to us reeking of carnage for caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We, women of one country, will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm. The sword of murder is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence vindicate possession. As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of council. Let them meet first, as women, to bewail and commemorate the dead. Let them then solemnly take counsel with each other as to the means whereby the great human family can live in peace, each bearing after his own kind the sacred impress not of Caesar, but of God. In the name of womanhood and of humanity, I earnestly ask that a general congress of women without limit of nationality may be appointed and held at some place deemed most convenient, and at the earliest period consistent with its objects, to promote the alliance of the different nationalities, the amicable settlement of international questions, the great and general interests of peace.
So it is Mother's Day, and we are home. Home to flatten the curve, home to protect the vulnerable among us, including many of our mothers. The Hallmark holiday with the crowded brunches of celebration will have to wait for another year. And I acknowledge that you may have heard a thank you in the midst of the song. I had an unexpected visitor and received some surprising Mother's Day flowers. We have come to think of Mother's Day in the 21st century as a celebration of mothers of all colors, shapes, sizes, genders, and ages. A day to acknowledge and celebrate those who gave us birth, raised us, and sent us out into the world with hope, love, and not a little bit of fear. For many, Mother's Day can be a complicated holiday. For those who have lost their mothers, there's renewed grief. For those whose mother relationship was challenging, there is regret and longing for what wasn't. For those who lost children, there is deep sadness. For those unable to conceive, there is emptiness. As Kevin read this morning, let us honor them all. On this day, women who conceived, women who bore, women who reared, women who lost, women who let go, women who made different choices, and people of any gender who mother. But Mother's Day 2020 is a unique moment, a celebration of mothers, often without the ability to be together. And so we are all feeling a tinge of loss, a perceptible sadness this day, a collective, an unrealized yearning to simply hug our moms. As we heard in the Mother's Day Proclamation by Julia Ward Howe, Mother's Day was originally conceived of as a day of peace. Let them first meet as women to bewail and commemorate the dead. Let them then solemnly take counsel with each other as the means by which the great human family can live in peace. On this unique Mother's Day 2020, I invite us to return to the original spirit of the day and contemplate a new commemoration. Howe's proclamation was written in 1870 in the aftermath of the Civil War. Death and devastation was the reality from which her Mother's Day, her vision of Mother's Day arose. And she envisioned a world made whole by the council of women who might come together to create a world where the great human family could live in peace. What might our Mother's Day proclamation be today? Might we speak of the grief of the tremendous loss of life, not from war, but from sickness? Might we speak of the heroic efforts of medical teams and hospitals throughout our country as they risk their own health to care for those who are suffering? Might we speak of the deep compassion that compelled us to stay home to protect vulnerable persons, both those we know and love and those we do not know, but for whom we wish also the blessings of health and life? Might we speak of our profound interconnectedness, that our actions and our very breath impact the health and life of others? Might we speak of our world, the web of life, and the impact of the human species on the health of the planet? An impact we witness daily as smog and pollution lift and vistas are once again visible from Delhi and Los Angeles. As animals return to their native areas, now emptied of humans. What would you write in your proclamation that honors the giving of life, that honors the deep and compassionate love that we attribute to the ideal of motherhood, that honors also the boundless life of the earth and all her inhabitants? And how would that proclamation change your living, your actions, your being? What would your vision be? A better world, peace on earth, the honoring of all people, protecting the earth and all life? This truly is an essential and existential question. It's a question of why we are here, why we are alive. Am I here? Are you here merely to exist, to buy more stuff, to work more so we can have, to get by, to attempt to skate through life without touching or being touched? Or am I here? Are you here to live? And living means touching and being touched, emotionally as well as physically. Seeing and being seen, loving and being loved, engaging and being engaged by life, by people, by warm smiles and tender hugs, by beauty, by landscapes and seascapes, by soul-moving melodies, by puppy kisses, and the sweetness of a strawberry at ripe perfection, by a warm sea breeze, by snowflakes on your tongue and eyelashes. We are here to live. We are here to engage and be engaged by life, to touch and be touched. We are here to love and be loved. Life is not lived without engagement. It simply isn't. And we know this deeply and personally now. But as we know deeply in the absence of personal connection, living with engagement can be dangerous, scary, and sometimes hard. We lose people, and we fear getting hurt again. It sometimes feels easier to numb out and just do enough to get by without engaging. to do our jobs, run our errands, pay our bills, save for retirement, and having a seemingly endless series of mindless small talks. It can often feel safer. We are now collectively living in a pause. Reality as we know it stopped several months ago. And frankly, that reality will not return, not for several years. The virus is our new constant companion until there's a vaccine. So while we begin re-entering the world, we do so with awareness that life is and will be different. How will our new Mother's Day proclamation inform the world we create? Do we return to the busyness of our days, to working, to amassing, to numbly and blindly running through our days? Or do we return with a continued profound awareness that our actions, our choices, our very breath affects and impacts the world around us and everyone we meet? Will we return to the competition, me, and us versus them? Or will we see each other as family? Yes, even those with whom we vehemently disagree. Will we see the world and all her beings as our beautiful home and our companions? We have a choice right now, perhaps the deepest and most life-altering choice imaginable. A choice to return to the life we had known with its destruction of the earth, consumer culture, soul-sucking competition, violence and greed, and heartless dismissal of others as obstacles on our path. Or a choice to imagine and create a different world. A world with compassion as the guiding principle. Compassion for people both known and unknown. Compassion for the earth and all her beings. Compassion for ourselves. A world that honors the worth, the inherent worth of every single being. A world where tenderness, sometimes fierce tenderness, and wasteful love are the most desired qualities. That, my friends, is the choice before us. The only real choice. The daily, hourly, moment-by-moment choice. The choice to be fully present to life. The choice to choose life and living and loving each day, each hour, each moment. So how do we live fully engaged? How do we keep our hearts open to life and living? We remember how easily life just happens. How we get busy with the busyness of work, school, family, household, bills, activities, friends, social media. That was the reality of our lives in the 21st century world before this pause. And in this busyness of our lives, it was easy to step into attachment, step into judgment, step into scarcity consciousness that bred a me versus you competitiveness, step into fear and defensiveness, step into disconnection from full engagement with life. We know from our recent past that full engagement with life and living was not automatic. For most of us, acculturated adults living in the 21st century Western world, our autopilot was a level of disengagement, not quite numbness, but not fully engaged. That autopilot was learned behavior. But a friend reminded me that it takes approximately 2 months before a new behavior becomes automatic. 2 months. Well, that feels awfully convenient, but we are exactly 2 months into our sheltering experience. What habits did you form during your shelter in place that you want to take into the new reality? What habits did you unlearn that you wish you could be rid of forever? We can choose to eschew those old habits and venture back into life with new ones. We can, and at the risk of shoulding all over you, we should re-enter the world differently. For many of us, the pause gave us opportunities to rest and become more attuned to the pace of our bodies, to sleep more naturally, to cook and sometimes experiment, to savor that which we put in our bodies, to reconnect with family and friends, if only virtually, to return to meals together, game nights, family movie time, or virtual watch parties with friends. The pause allowed most of us to slow down and find our personal rhythm. The pause offered the opportunity to care and share each other. From young people who ran errands for vulnerable folks to special shopping hours. From restaurants that fed kids who no longer received meals at school, to businesses that offered free internet, to scores and scores of people, men who made and still make masks to gift to those who need. The pause has been a time of gentleness, generosity, and gratitude. A very different experience from the greed, graft, and go, go, go of our prior world. To truly live, we need to retain the goodness of our natures. Keep these habits that have barely started to form. We need to practice. And I suggest that this is where the practice of mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness sounds so very simple, but is perhaps the most profound practice with which I have engaged. It entails paying attention to our thoughts, emotional reactions, and behaviors while engaged in daily living. In mindfulness, we are both the one doing the acting and the one watching ourselves act. Mindfulness helps bring our monkey mind into the present moment. Rather than drifting from random thought to random thought, we focus our mind and on ourselves and our being. In so doing, we notice ourselves, how we interact with people, what causes irritations and annoyances, how we respond to feelings of hunger or tiredness. By noticing ourselves, we give ourselves the opportunity to change those behaviors, reactions, and emotional states that we do not like within ourselves. The practice of mindfulness will enable us to continue to nurture our new habits. When I am mindful and see myself disconnected, when I feel the little irritations and annoyances, when I am mindfully aware that my monkey mind is wandering, I focus my attention on the spirit of life within me and the concentric circles of connection and interconnect with our world. And that enables me to return to engagement with life and living. To live into the new world we seek, we must practice. Practice these habits every day. When we re-enter the world, we must call ourselves to this awareness. With practice, living is and feels completely different. Living need not be competitive or defensive. Rather, we can celebrate life, mine and yours. We can celebrate a friend's improved circumstance, a new job, new love, new home, fabulous promotion, or exciting adventure, rather than compare our circumstances to it. We can be present to life in the here and now, not daydreaming about a future or reliving the past. We can be engaged with life wholly and fully. But engagement requires presence, and none of us can truly experience a moment with a friend, a parent, a child, a spouse, a pet, in nature, with God, with yourself, if we are living in another time, past or present. Engaged living is simply living in the particulars, in the essence, in the messiness of life. It is being in the experience, feeling it, sensing it, embracing it, touching it, and being touched. So what is our vision of Mother's Day? While each of us has a personal answer to that question, I believe we share one vision, that all of us might live, truly live fully engaged. To echo Mary Oliver in saying, when it's over, I want to say, all my life, I was a bride married to a mason. I was the bridegroom taking the world into my arms. That's why we are here, to live, to love, to engage, and be engaged by life. How do we answer that vision? By choosing to engage, by choosing to risk, by choosing to embody gentleness, generosity, and gratitude in order to create the new world we seek. A deeply interconnected world that honors the earth and all her beings, that embraces the fullness of life for all. In order to personally experience the richness and fullness and sweetness of life and living, in order to witness the grace, beauty, the bounty, and love of creation, to fully experience the beauty, the sunset over the ocean waves, the sunrise and morning fog hanging majestically over the Blue Ridge Mountains, the music that echoes in our souls, the softness of a baby's skin. Fully experience the generosity of this planet that creates the perfect conditions for our lives, the trees expiring oxygen that we need, and our expiration of carbon dioxide the trees need, balancing just so. The temperate ocean that creates the ideal climate for us and all of life. To fully appreciate the bounty of our planet, with plants to feed us just so, but not just us, all of life. Fully embrace the love between and among us when we are very present to it. The beauty, generosity, bounty, love, and oneness around us. Fill us, and if we awaken to them, call us into the living, into the miracle of love that is and can be our reason for living. When we are open and present, life reminds us of and connects us to something more. Beauty, bounty, generosity, and love open the ears of our ears and the eyes of our eyes, the oneness of creation, the interdependent web where you and I are one. Beauty, bounty, generosity, and love are the clues, the hints, the tastes, the senses of that mysterious spirit of life and love that echoes through our deepest being, beckoning, ever beckoning us to step into and fully engage with life itself. Why are we here? Essentially and existentially, to live, to love, to taste the rich beauty, to connect, to be one with each and all. How do we live into that state of being? By practice, by presence, by choosing gentleness, generosity, and gratitude, and by wholly embracing the grace of the universe. On this Mother's Day, 2020, without the Hallmark moment, may we write our new proclamation, one that honors life, one that embodies love, one that embraces life, beauty, bounty, and wholeness. So may it be this day and all days. Amen. Blessed be, and happy Mother's Day to all. And as we move to our closing words this morning, I invite you to breathe again. No matter how weak or frightened we may feel, we each have gifts that can make a difference in the world. In this coming week, may you contemplate your personal Mother's Day proclamation. May you do at least one thing to support the broken, to welcome the stranger, to celebrate what is worthy, to do the work of justice and love. Be strong, be connected. Each day, act so that you and the world may be a little more whole. Carry in your hearts the gentleness, generosity, and gratitude of our collective pause. Embody compassion and fierce tenderness and wasteful love, loving wholly across all boundaries without end, bending the arc, and creating each moment the world we persistently and lovingly envision. Mother's Day. Our closing song this morning is The Fire of Commitment, sung by the choir of the First Unitarian Church of Dallas. It echoes our chalice, and the words of the chorus speak powerfully to our now. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. So thank you for joining me this morning. I apologize for a few technical moments, but thank you when I received my surprise flowers. And if you were wondering about the background drone that it accompanied much of my message, it was thanks to my friend Marley, my dear four-legged companion who decided that she needed to snore through my entire service. Thank you for joining us, and happy Mother's Day.